Of course, covering the news out of Buckingham Palace that we got earlier this morning, the announcement that the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, husband of Queen Elizabeth II, passed away peacefully in the morning hours at Windsor Castle. He was 99 years old.
Let's bring in ABC News contributor Imogen Lloyd-Webber and ABC News royal contributor Robert Jobson. Thank you both for being with us. And Robert, we're all looking back now, 99. How will history remember Prince Philip? Do you think? What will his legacy be?
Well, he was somebody who didn't really like praise very much, but he's somebody I think that really truly his life effectively spanned the whole of the Windsor dynasty. Essentially, he is a great-grandchild of the Queen Victoria. But more important than that, he was really, as the Queen said quite rightly there, her strength and stay throughout her long reign, the longest reign in British history. And I think really one must not underestimate his contribution. He's somebody who I think that really did help to modernise the British royal family. He tried to make sure that it wasn't out of step with what modern society wanted. Very much somebody who was a visionary, worked tirelessly with the World Wildlife Fund that he helped establish, and a great believer in the importance of helping young people be believing themselves with his Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. So I think he's somebody who should be remembered for supporting the Queen. And really, the Queen has had a really tough, difficult job, and he was able to bring her laughter in the quiet moments, and that shouldn't be underestimated. And that's half the battle.
Yeah, Imogen, to that point, we always see him. We didn't hear from him a whole lot, but we always saw him right there by her side, or maybe just a step behind her. He was always there, the husband. But what more so can you tell us about that relationship as a husband? All right, she had all these responsibilities, and as Robert just said, this is the guy who can make her laugh.
Well, exactly that. Philip was the only man in the world who treated the Queen simply as another human being. And he was really the only person in the world who could tell her to shut up. I mean, no one else is about to do that to the Queen. His pet names for her were allegedly sort of sausage and cabbage, and their rows when he was driving were pretty legendary. She's going to miss him enormously. Obviously, there's a period now of public mourning for the Queen, but there's going to be a private mourning that will last for the rest of her life. And as Robert alluded to, it's been a very difficult time for the Queen, what with Harry and Meghan, and of course, COVID. So this really is a devastating moment for a much-loved monarch.
Yeah, no, I mean, we can only imagine what she and the entire royal family are going through right now. But Robert, you mentioned that Prince Philip helped modernize the royal family and the royals in general. How did he make that role his own?
Well, he sort of had to, because the people at the palace were there to serve the Queen, and it was quite clear to him very early on that they weren't there to serve him. And so he forged out that role. And one of the things he did, and one of the things the Queen asked him to do, was to organise the televising of her coronation. Now, that was a major moment in history, because it was the first time it had ever been done. And he was somebody who wanted to engage with the general public through television. It was him that was asked for that famous royal family documentary, that fly on the wall documentary that actually the Queen didn't really like that much, but he thought was good because it showed that the royal family were an up-to-date modern family. And I think he was keen to impress upon that to many people. Also, as Imogen said, he was the only person that could speak frankly to the Queen, and we all know in positions of power people do need that person to bring them down to earth. And there was one incident when they were on a royal trip that he just was desperate to get on the Royal Yacht Britannia, being a naval man, and she was saying her goodbyes, and he was shouting from the top, yak, 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 come on, let's just get going. And I don't think anyone else could believe it. And but that's the sort of character he was. I mean, I'm sure he got into, there was a few choice words about it afterwards, but he was a character. There's no doubt about that.
And Imogen, you mentioned two things. You mentioned COVID being a challenge. You mentioned Harry. So on both of those points, how is COVID, how is the pandemic going to change the mourning, the funeral arrangements, and are we going to see Harry back home?
Well, I think that's all to be seen. Obviously, the situation is very fluid at the moment with COVID. Regulations. I mean, Harry can have diplomatic status, so that make it maybe slightly easier for him to travel. So I think watch this space on that. Obviously, Prince Philip was much loved by Prince Harry. And, you know, let's face it, both Meghan and Harry were talking about how close they were to both Philip and the Queen in that infamous interview recently. So I think Harry certainly will be very keen to be at the funeral. Obviously, Meghan is pregnant, so we will see.
All right. Well,
I understand that there will be COVID restrictions from what I've spoken to some people this morning. That they've even taken the notice down outside Buckingham Palace with the announcement of his death to avoid crowds gathering. So the royal family are very keen to stick to the rules of COVID. So it will be a much scaled down funeral, not like the pomp and pageantry we've seen in the past.
Yeah, these are odd times, strange times, but certainly so many people wanting to pay tribute to Prince Philip. Imogen, Lloyd Webber, Robert Jobson, thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robert's here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.